I started playing the piano when I was 5, and I don't remember exactly how I got there. Apparently I wanted to, and so my parents found me a piano teacher, and so it went on. But as for embracing the profession, being a professional musician, I remember I was after I finished my what's the name, high school, baccalaureate in French, I don't know, and well, college, I guess, and then went to university, and I went into studying philosophy, musicology, and ancient Hebrew. So, and at that time I was already starting to play, having gigs and so, and so I remember this first year of university studies, I thought to myself, I said to myself, okay, I'm not sure I can handle both, you know, like a musician's development and career or so, and the studies. So I give myself 1 year, try to see how I can manage. And at the end of the year, if really I see it's too much, then I give up on music professionally, and I really focus on the studies. And what happened is that at the end of that year, I said, okay, I'm giving myself another year, but with the inverted decision, like saying, okay, 1 more year, but if really it's too much, I stop the studies and I focus on music. And this is what happened. So it took me like 2 years of university before actually stopping the studies and going 100% into playing music, practicing, rehearsing, composing, yeah, all that stuff. No, I'd say I'm more a piano player. I don't like this definition of it's just a word game, but I don't like saying I am a piano player or I am a musician, because I actually had at some point struggles with that, with the identification with the role of being a musician. So for me, at some point, it was important to make it clear that this is not what I am. This is something I do and I enjoy doing. But what I am is just, you know, I am a person. You know, playing is really an action of the body. So I'm not looking at music from an aesthetical perspective. I'm not looking at textures. Although now I'm exploring sound synthesis and sound design and stuff like that, but for very, very long, I was strictly concerned about the action of playing, how it feels, how I breathe, how I, you know, all that stuff. And of course, an instrument that I am used to is easier to forget, and also to say that I don't feel the necessity from the performance point of view to look into different instruments. But I enjoy taking the guitar and playing, strumming chords, and I enjoy playing the drums, and of course. But when it comes to really playing and getting into the mood that I'm looking for, I feel really comfortable on the piano only. And so yeah, first of all, I am a piano player before. Yeah, maybe I'm repeating myself, but because really the sound result doesn't matter that much. It's really more the enjoyment of being there and acting that drives me. Yeah. I really started playing before knowing anything about rules, tradition, or whatsoever. So for me, very, very clearly from the beginning was that I was expressing myself in some way. And so there was no question about being personal, having my own voice, because I was speaking, so that was by definition my own voice. So I never had this thought of, okay, I need to find my personal voice, or or there's not been a moment where it shifts and then suddenly this becomes clear. No, not really. No. There are things that I always come back to, of course, but it's out of laziness rather than discipline. I would like my discipline to be exploring new things all the time. So, but it feels really comfortable to go back, and I'm actually enjoying it. I don't know, sometimes I go back to scales, just practicing scales. Long time no see. Oh, okay. Oh, what about this new fingering here? Or, there's always room for fine-tuning or discovery, but no, I don't have a routine or anything like that. I have a strange or uncommon, maybe, relationship to teaching, as I had to studying. So when I found out I was playing in jazz, improvising in a trio context, etc., I said, okay, I'm going to study, and so I went to a jazz school, but I got kicked out of the jazz school after 6 months, so I could not really study it in an academy. At that time, I had one music lesson that really has imprinted me very strongly, and it was with Paul Bley. And I was very fond of Paul Bley at the time. I went to see one of his concerts. He was playing in trio with, I think it was, Jimmy Geoffrey and Steve Swallow. And it was a beautiful concert. I enjoyed it very much. But then after the show, they were back on stage taking the part, or, taking back their instruments, etc. So I went to Mr. Bley and willing to ask him if he would accept to give me one music lesson, or if I could maybe visit him at his home and I wanted to study with him. And he wouldn't allow me to say anything. He saw me coming and he said, "Oh, you're a musician, right?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm a musician." And so what you want is to play the piano, right? And I said, yeah, I want to play. And he was sitting actually at the piano like I am now, and he just got up and said, "Well, play," and he left the room. And and that was very, 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 was a real kick. Soon it came to me that he was totally right, that if I wanted to play, there's no big deal about it, I just have to sit and play. That for me was very, very strong, and I still am in this mood where, what I enjoy is playing, and so there's no big deal about it. Of course, I'm passionate about certain things in the language, and I go and do research and study, but the main thing, the origin of why I'm sitting at a piano from my young age is that just I enjoy it. As this has been so important for me, with students, I try to really have them ask themselves what is their true motivation, and then find ways to follow this motivation, whatever this motivation is. For me, it was very clear, so then I organized everything around just the fact of playing and enjoying it. But you can have other goals in life and other reasons why you're attracted to playing music. And once you have this clear to yourself, it's much, much easier to organize your music, your rehearsals, who you're playing with, how you're going to organize your career, your whatsoever, And so for me, that's the center, the main question that needs to be asked. And once you get answers, which can evolve over time, that's not, of course, not stick to one thing. But, it eases a lot of processes once you know exactly why you're there. what for. I consider that nobody teaches yourself but yourself. I can get inspired by ideas, by inputs, but the one that's teaching myself, it's me. I'm sitting, I'm trying to, maybe I follow an idea, but it's really self experience. It's you need to embody whatever concept to start learning from your body. So I am there as a teacher to bring the student to the point where he realizes he doesn't need a teacher. This being said, I enjoy sharing. But I enjoy sharing not necessarily with students, with any musician I cross. I enjoy sharing the experience, and I mean, there's so many things also in terms of language that are there that are really exciting, interesting, and so I just enjoy sharing, not in the sense of giving, but just really being together and sharing a passion for something. And and not necessarily with musicians. If I'm asked about what I'm doing and people are willing to hear me talk about it or show or demonstrate, I'm 100% there, because I'm really busy with this stuff. It's really it's a discovery. So all the time. So it's very exciting. So I'm very excited and happy to talk about it and show. Yeah. So I do enjoy teaching also because of that. But I don't have a mission of transmission of anything. I don't feel that. I met different musicians that I had the chance to. I was lucky to play with. In terms of time, of course, I was very impressed and learned a lot from an African percussion player from Burkina Faso that I played many years with. His name is Yaya Ouattara, and we had a band together. We played for about, 10 years or so. And that experience playing with him has awakened me to a lot of aspects of time in music, and especially my own personal research on rhythm. As your interest for timing goes on, then you develop tools to perceive more finely timing, and then every rhythmical expression has something, has a fine something that's a bit different, that's of interest, and then after a while, it's really the phenomena itself that you're enjoying, whatever the context is, whatever the expression of it is, rather than a particular timing. Maybe 10 years I've been really studying very specifically micro-time phrasing. And this all started because I had this example of Western African triplet that's phrased in a funny way. Once I found out about that, I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I practice that? And so I really imagined exercises to practice that. And so from those exercises to practice this very specific thing, I could generalize some theory and then apply it to other contexts, and so developed have been developing a personal approach. But it was all based on exactly what you're saying. I see something, and how can I get how can I embody that concept, that rhythm, what is there? So I do analyze, try to understand, and then try to figure out series of exercises to get there. It's not that I want them to learn it. It's that I was given this rhythm class, and the deal has been that I'm okay to teach rhythm only if I'm allowed to just share what I'm searching, what I'm discovering. And so I never made rhythm dictation or sight reading or many things that are really of interest. I'm not pretending the contrary, but just don't interest me at the moment. So I really wanted this teaching space to be a moment where I can just share what I'm busy with. And so over the years, this rhythm class has developed as a personal lab where I experience my concepts but really my personal research. And so over the years, it has built up to something, some content, quite dense and with a lot of information there. And so this is what I keep teaching now. As far as students want to get there, I have ideas about how to. I have ideas of exercises. I've pointed through observation of students and first of all, personal observation. I've pointed some key elements, key questions, attitudes, or whatever towards timing that favor the practice of such or such exercise. It's changing. It's always changing. I listen to this, I listen to that. The attention is always traveling, sometimes large listening, sometimes more focused, and it's changing all the time. I don't listen to myself too much. Like I really normally don't put the piano on the monitors at all. I just cut it. I'm not really listening to what people are doing, what they're playing. I more likely listen to the impact that my playing is having on the music. So I'm acting, I'm playing stuff, and this inspires or triggers or whatever the others into some kind of response, whether it's in the notes or energy or, and this is what I'm listening to. So when I'm doing something that has no impact, I then tend to look for something else. So what I'm really paying attention to is, and that's not mean, what power am I having on the music? The music being what the others are playing when it's in a band context. So really, it's not really what is the note that he's playing, is actually paying more attention to the interplay, I would say, in that sense. Yeah. But interplay from my point of view, from my action, what it is generating, where. Interesting. So and I really expect everybody to consider my input the same way. So it's not that I want to lead. It's not about leading at all. It's really, okay, if I stop playing, okay, now there's any action that I take, it's like from my point of view, the whole band is an instrument, maybe. Let's say like this. But not necessarily as a leader, it's not. It's just enjoying the well, enjoying, oh, this is sound coming out of this action. So extended, this enjoyment extended. There's a lot, but I really do everything I can to silence that. What I'm looking for is some kind of meditational state, or a state of body, mind, soul. When you play and when it's really happening, there's a let go that's there, and let go of intentions, ideas, of everything. It's just dancing, and this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to develop. This is what I want to enhance, make bigger, make longer. That experience. So I found out that for me, at least, in order to favor this trip, this kind of experience, I had to, as much as possible, silence the thoughts. So when I'm thinking too much, I know it's not happening. Microtime phrasing. And microtime phrasing as a groove factor. So for me, time is not linear. It's not a linear thing that goes with a metered thing that you can divide in integers and then subdivide in smaller, in higher divisions, and so for me, the musical time, as soon as there is a pulse involved, and I'm not sure it's possible not to get a pulse involved, but time goes in waves, not straight. Recently, I've been porting this rhythm approach to computer music, to electronic music, because some software out there, they are able to process rhythm the way I do with this method, but only to a certain extent. At some point, it gets you reach a limitation there. So I've been researching and developing a lot, especially on a platform and hardware that's called the KYMA, K-Y-M-A, which is a system of digital signal manipulation. And so here I'm having this research trying to apply this rhythm approach to electronics. And it opens a lot of interesting fields. First of all, there's a need for a mathematical model to describe this rhythmical approach. And this is a challenge, actually. It's not that easy. So I'm interacting a lot with a mathematician, and there's actually a mathematical research that's starting. There are many developments that actually apply this vision of time not being a metric thing, but being a wavy thing. And so basically, instead of displacing elements over time to create lilts, etc., what you do is the time is perceived as a waveform, and you apply techniques of wave shaping that are common in the electronic music domain, but you're applying certain algorithms of wave shaping in order to attain different grooves and harmonizing grooves together, etc. Yeah, one thing I didn't mention is that, of course, those phrasing can be perceived as a bridge, a link between two divisions, but there are zones where they could pertain to many, many divisions potentially. And so this enables you to create polyrhythmical content, like compositions that where you have harmonized just with a little phrasing. I don't know, I have a song that's harmonizing 7, 11, and 15 all together, divisions of the same bar, but through really slightly and adjustment of bringing some swing factor to those different divisions, you harmonize them, you bring them together in one strongly connected polyrhythm. I do actually believe that this phenomena is actually at work in polyrhythmical music, like African music, where each part is being phrased a certain way so that they match more strongly. So this is actually, the more I study this, the more it's a very vast domain with a lot of applications. One of them is tempo tracking. I mean, looking at this phenomena to track tempo from a live musician is probably much more efficient than trying to look at tone repetitions and stuff like that. I mean, tempo tracking solutions have had always problems to track jazz, for example. I mean, track techno beats is not a big deal, but track jazz is very complicated. But there's one phenomena that's at work that's really, when it's grooving, when it's swinging, that's very coherent, very present, and it's the swing itself. So if you have algorithms that are able to look at this phenomena, you could help develop more efficient tempo tracking solutions, where then we can start playing with machines, where the machine is following you and you're not using the machine as a click. So I mean, it's really opening a lot of possibilities, and I'm very excited and enthusiastic about this. So recently, most of my time I've spent in looking at oscilloscopes and trying to use algorithms and question my mathematician friend if really the Hilbert geometry is the one that we should apply and stuff, crazy stuff like that. So yeah, that's it.